Afternoon, folks, and welcome to Poland, specifically Krakow, one of those pronunciations. We're in the city. We just arrived a few hours ago, went and grabbed ourselves a coffee, done a little bit of catching up on work, but now it's time to head out and take some photos. We're here for a few days, and I think today is probably going to be by far the best day weather-wise, so we're going to try and make use of the next few hours here up until sunset. Wander around the old town part of the city. I have a couple of cameras with me. I have the Nikon FE and the Yashica here. The Yashica already has a roll in it, Kodak Gold 200, which I've took a few photos on already at home. And I've got some Fuji 200, Fujifilm C200 or 200 for the Nikon. So just going to chop and change. Just totally depends what I think works best for the scene. So might end up with a bit of a mix match in this one, but let's load up some film and head out and see what I can get in Krakow. Well, it is now the next day. That little photography walk was quite short-lived yesterday evening because the sun kind of went away as soon as we got out. It got quite cloudy, took a few photos, and then it got dark a lot quicker than we thought. So we didn't really get to take the Yashica out at all, and just kind of started to get going a little bit and then had to stop. Day two, not very promising. But I'm going to take you along anyway. Whether or not I can get the camera out and line up a photo and actually take it here is debatable because it's raining quite heavily. It's still nice though. But we're just going to walk around and see if I can find a few shots, hopefully, and not get both me and Christina and the cameras absolutely drenched. But so far, Krakow is a pretty cool city. Okay, so we've walked about 5 feet, tried to frame up a shot with this wall in the background just because it's a really old brick wall, kind of wonky there. Sorry. Really old brick wall, and then we've got the Ferris wheel in the background, which is just kind of a cool contrast of old and new, but based on my readings from a light meter, the Nikon FE at 5.6 will be like 1/80th shooting that way, which for handheld is just not ideal. So I've literally seen this tree over here from yesterday, like as soon as we got here, I was like, that's a cool tree, probably should take a photo. Not ideal conditions, but it's still kind of cool trying to frame it up here and see if I can snap a shot on it on the Nikon, because It's just simply too wet to set up the Yashica here, but let's snap it and see. Trying not to get everything soaked is not easy.
Don't mind me, I'm just the
Umbrella holder.
tripod with the camera and the umbrella holder.
I haven't really used my film cameras too much in the rain. I'm not sure what the resistance to weather really is, but based on the fact they're all lubricated and mechanical parts, probably not ideal. And this is some electronics in it. Right, I can't get this too wet now.
Umbrella holders for the rescue.
So the camera here is going to shoot this at 1/500th of a second. And my thing said 1/125th, which is 2 stops brighter. So what's the deal? And I also have it set to overexpose. So one of them is way off. Okay, so if you've seen the previous video where I was shooting in Wales with the Nikon, you'll know I had some exposure issues. First time really having them with the Nikon. There's a lot of comments coming in sort of suggesting different things that it might be. Film, date film, the meter reading on the camera and stuff like that. I've never actually checked, because the Nikon FE's worked pretty perfectly for me exposure wise. I do know how to meter scenes, and I just thought from the first roll in this, it is very good at reading scenes, and I haven't had any problems until that last roll. So on this one, I've been checking with my camera meter, or my app on the phone that I use when I'm shooting with the Yashica, which always is probably a little bit more overexposed, but with this scene it's saying at f5.6, 1/125th of a second, whereas the Nikon at f5.6 is saying 500th of a second, which can't be right. There's like 2 stops of difference there, and even if I was to say that this overexposes by 1, there's still a stop at least a difference. So I'm going to use the little feature in the Nikon where I expose the light meter for the ground, let the light meter expose for the ground, and then hold this little lever and then pan up, and that will be kind of ruling out the sky for the exposure. That makes sense. Did you gather that? So essentially I'll be exposing for the ground. It's a cloudy day, the sky isn't that bright, so 1/125th then will match up with what my light meter on the phone is saying.
Great.
So once this person passes, I'll snap it and see if that works. You know? Actually, we're sort of at the ground. And then if I hold in this little lever this way while I'm taking the photo, it should lock whatever exposure it is that I want. Kind of tricky, but it does work. Oh, helps if you wind before you do it.
Their dog.
Your dog's digging a hole. Boom. Shot 1 of the very rainy day. Lens just a little bit wet. That's a process. I do like this photo, but it's nothing special. The exposure of 1/125th was pretty spot on though, so I'm glad I tweaked things, and it's good to know just for future shots. Okay, I've decided I am just going to take the other shot, the first scene with this wall and the Ferris wheel. I'm probably going to have to shoot at f4, which I don't really want to because I kind of want to focus on the wall here and have the Ferris wheel in focus, but that's probably not going to happen at this distance. Again, the light meter is saying at most this scene is 1/125th and at f5.6, and if I meter with the camera and tell the camera not to actually overexpose, it's at least 1/250th. It's like between 1/500th and 1/250th, so there's at least a stop or a stop and a half a difference. So I'm just going to try and get it down to 1/25th because I feel like that is going to be probably right. So I'm going to tell the camera to overexpose by a stop, which I normally never do, by the way, because it normally does overexpose a bit. So I'm going to shoot it at f4 to get 1/25th. I'm going to focus on the wall here.
Boom. Just for memory, so I can remember, that was probably shot somewhere between just over 1/125th, whatever that is. Well, that's what the meter's saying. So based on my camera, that should be a stop and a half overexposed, whereas my light meter says that's kind of spot on. So there could be a stop and a half of difference between the camera, what the camera thinks, and what my light meter app thinks. You know. Cool scene though. Okay, this scene is right up my alley. Kind of exactly what I'm hoping to find when I'm walking through a city like this. Got the old wall here, old red brick wall with lots of ivy on it, which is always nice, adds a nice pop of colour. And then we have this really old, I'm not sure what this building is, to be fair, but really cool. And it has like these, what would you call those at the corners, like sort of towers?
Yeah, like a bell tower?
I think that's a bell tower on the left hand side. Everything is really nice. Besides, and I love a good Toyota, but that red Toyota Corolla is not what I'm after in this scene. So I don't know whether to come back and hope it's not there, but there's been cars there both days we've came to this spot, so trying to figure out if there's a way I can cut it out, but then I'm going to miss the right hand tower on the building if I do that, so alright, the tripod is finally coming out. It's still raining, but I just want to use the Yashica and take a photo with it. I don't want to end up going home and have not even took it out, even though we still have some days yet, but still. I just took the photo of that scene in portrait with the Nikon, which looks kind of nice. The metering is a little tricky again. I got it down to 1/125th, which I think should probably be the same for pretty much all these scenes, even though the Nikon would overexpose it, or would underexpose that. They'd probably shoot it at like 250th or maybe between 250th and 500, like I said with the previous shot. So I'm going to meter this one and take it with the Yashica. This has to be kind of quick because I don't want the Yashica to get soaked. I've already kind of metered it, and I'm going to shoot this at like f16 so the wall and everything's in focus pretty much. 1/10 for the sky, 1/5 for the wall. It's pretty even, so I'm going to shoot it all at like 1/4 on this. Should be pretty good. Focus and snap before it gets soaked. Okay, all focused up. Fourth of a second, f16, and I'm going to use the timer just because I can't be bothered getting the cable release out. It's raining.
Your hair's sticking out your hat.
Is it? That's good. Still. Alright, f16, 1/4. No cars coming.
Exposure wise, this one turned out pretty perfectly, which is always a nice start. Composition wise though, this one was a little tricky. Because of the cars on the right hand side, which I kept out of the frame, it just left me a bit stuck really. There wasn't much else I could do other than this. The lamppost in the middle is a little distracting and I just think it's missing something in the foreground, but I don't mind it and it's really all I could do at the time.
The vertical 35mm shot probably works a bit better for this one.
These are just the type of wee streets you can't beat in European cities. Maybe not the greatest one, but cobble streets, with little restaurants and cafes on each side. Cool. Need to find a spot for coffee and a sandwich, Christina says. How do you like my tripod holding technique? This works pretty well. Don't want to have the big camera bag because there's too much stuff. It's too heavy and you have to take it off. Whereas I walk around with this, have the Yashica in here, filters, kind of works. Just had ourselves a little coffee, bite to eat, back out again, still raining. But we're now in the old town part of Krakow, which is pretty cool. It's actually really tidy here as well. Like just a clean city, but also really old at the same time, which is just really nice. This area so far, definitely my cup of tea. Weather on the other hand, not quite. But might be able to get a few photos. Obviously I'm going to have to set the tripod up for pretty much everything here, so kind of picking and choosing my moments, because trying to meter and focus and stuff in the rain, not the best, but see what we can do. Cool city. Upgrading my camera to the Sony Cybershot.
It's only about 15 years old. No, probably more.
Probably more. So we're right in the middle of the Old Town Square here. I'm not sure if you can see, but the Basilica is right behind me here. Really cool looking building. This whole area is actually so nice. And I wanted to try and get a shot. We've been wandering around here and I was like, if I'm gonna set up, I'm gonna do it like once, take a couple of shots, because it's still raining. Thought I would try a few real slow shot or nighttime shots here, because the light's kind of perfect for that at the minute. The sky's still got a bit of light to it, and it's kind of almost matching the like artificial lighting, which looks really nice for slow shutter shots. So set the Yashica up here and shot one at f11 and one at f16. The first one was a 22 second exposure? 20 seconds, 22 seconds, something like that. And then I done another one at f16 at 1 minute 10-ish. So hoping they turn out, because I haven't done slow shutter photos before at night in this level of darkness before, so hopefully they turn out. Probably be the last shot for tonight.
I think I've tried nighttime slow shutter photos on film once before. One time in Portugal, I believe it was, so having these turn out like they did is pretty sweet. The first one I took on the Yashica I think turned out the best, simply because the sky still had some colour in it when I took this one. And I just love those blue tones you get in the sky just before it turns totally black. There is a little haziness on the right hand side. I'm not sure if that is just some rainy atmosphere or maybe a bit of water on the lens. It was raining pretty heavy. It would obviously be better without it, but I still really like this shot. It does really make me want to shoot more nighttime slow shutter film photos. The 35mm shots were shot after, so the sky didn't have any colour in it really, but they still turned out pretty cool I think. The Basilica is just such an amazing building up close.
Alright, it's the next day, definitely better weather, no rain. Look at the size of those horses. No, I want to get a photo down this street because it's absolutely bunged with people, but it's kind of nice old buildings and it leads the whole way down to like this kind of like temple-y sort of looking building at the end. Kind of hazy too, which looks cool. So dead center down this street. Just waiting until no one is right beside me. That'll probably work. Okay, just wandering around here and came across these buildings which are just really cool. All different sizes and sort of heights and colours. That little red one is just so neat looking, sort of like, it's like they're all squeezed in. So I'm going to frame it with this red one at the right hand side, and then in the distance I'm framing the tower building which is all the way down that road underneath the tree branch there. Just waiting till there's no one in my immediate foreground. That'll probably work. exactly what this building is. I could look it up, but I'm not going to bother right now. I'm not sure if it's a castle or not, but it does have like a castle wall the whole way around it, and it is massive. I'm kind of struggling a little bit to get shots because I feel like I need a wider lens. 50mm on the Nikon is just getting a bit too tight for me at the minute. I want like something a bit wider, but these type of shots I can cut all the people out in the foreground, which is nice, and just have a quite minimal shot with the castle wall here and then the building up top. Gonna shoot this at f5.6 and just kind of frame it.
Finding nice compositions which included the castle was actually a little trickier than I thought it would be, probably because of the focal lengths that I had, but this one I really do like. I was able to include some foreground elements in this one, and it just kind of shows how the castle towers over everything in the city.
So we've walked up by the castle, I think it is. We're up a little bit higher now, and there's like this little walkway up along the side of the wall here, and then we've got the like tower side of the castle, which has a Polish flag in the top, which is cool because I haven't got a photo of a Polish flag or a shot with a Polish flag in it yet. This works pretty nicely in square format, so the Yashica is coming out. I'm gonna see what I can do here. Only thing is, there is a gulf. There's actually two gulfs sitting in the bottom right hand corner, which is really annoying, but not much I can do about that. The only thing I really don't want in it is there's a crane in the background, so I'm trying to... I don't want to center the tower either, I just want to kind of have it to one side, keep the tree towards one side, and not have the crane in it. Alright, for this one, because everything is quite far away from me, I'm going to go f11 and about 1/15, which will probably be like a stopover, which should keep all the detail because this is pretty flat, so just waiting for people to get out of the way. I've set the timer and ready to snap.
I spent quite a while trying to compose this scene and waiting for people to walk past, as you've seen. Unfortunately, the weather just didn't help me out at all. It's just so flat, which obviously affects the colours. I do like the scene, and I think in nicer light with a more interesting sky, it could work really well. I don't really like the cars in it either though, but I just couldn't get rid of them completely. A cool scene that certainly has potential, just maybe not in these conditions. Having the Polish flag in it though was a nice touch.
How'd that go for you?